Hi all, my name is Nani. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are diving into super excited text to SQL by using Google's Gemini, Python, and SQLite. Imagine being able to query your database by simply typing input in English. Sounds like magic, right? Well, it's not. By the end of this video, you'll be able to learn how to build a system like text to SQL step by step. Let's get started. Text to SQL is a technology that converts natural language into SQL query. For example, a complex query like select star from users where a is greater than 30. You could simply type show me all users older than 30. The system will generate SQL query for you. Let's see the flow of text to SQL. It is basically start with user input where we get the input from user. That input we are going to send to the Gemini AI model. The Gemini AI model will have prompt. So based on that prompt, it is going to process the natural language and then it is going to generate a SQL query. Once that SQL query is generated, we are going to execute that query in DB. Once we get the data from DB, we are going to show to the user in a human readable format or tabular format. Before we start, make sure you have Python in your system. The version should be 3 or higher. We need Google API key for Gemini Pro. You open Visual Studio Code, you need to create a folder text to SQL, whatever you want. And then you need to open terminal. Once you open terminal, you need to open command prompt, previous shell, and then you have to create virtual env for the Python. So for that, there are two ways to create virtual env. One is using conda command, and another one is using Python command. So I'm using conda because I have installed anaconda in my system. The command should be conda create -p venv the virtual environment name. Python is the version whatever you are using in your system. Okay, might be spelling mistake. Once you do this, it's going to create virtual env. It is going to take some time. Meanwhile, we can create requirements dot txt. So which is responsible for all the packages. Okay, so whatever we mentioned in the requirements dot txt. Okay, so we're going to install by using pip command. So we'll mention Streamlit, Google, Generative AI, Python dot env. Make sure you don't type mistakes. Now save it. Once you saved it, you need to check the virtual env is created or not. Once the virtual env created, you need to activate that virtual env. For that, there is a command conda activate /venv. Okay. Once you do this, venv, venv. Okay. So this is some path should be at the end. Once you do this, you'll be able to find the env path before the project path. Okay. Once you do this, you need to install all the packages which you mentioned in the requirements.txt. For that, there is a command, pip command, pip install -r pip install -r requirements.txt. Once you do this, it's going to install all the packages which you mentioned in the requirements.txt. Okay. Something like mismatch is happening. Streamlit, Google, it might be filling spelling mistake again. Python.env. Okay. You need to save the file. You need to run that command again. Pip install -r requirements.txt. Once you do this, it's going to install all the packages. It's going to take some time. Meanwhile, you can create sql.py. It is responsible for all the operations related to DB. And then you can create .env. So whatever the properties, the static properties which we are using throughout the application, we're going to mention over here. We're going to create one more file, app.py. It is responsible for the Streamlit application and connecting to the Gemini model and then generating everything what we are going to write in app.py. We'll start with sql.py. So in the sql.py, we're going to import SQLite. Okay. The SQLite by default, it comes with Python. Okay. Import SQLite, SQLite. Okay. SQLite 3, and then you need to create a connection. Okay. Create a connection. So for that, uh, equals to, so this is what creating connection. Here, SQLite the connect whatever the name we need, the database name we need, that you are going to give here. For example, I'm gonna give test. It should be test.db. Okay. Once you create a connection, you need to create a cursor. So cursor is an object which will useful to execute all the queries. So which will useful to do the DB operations. So for that, create a cursor. This is what cursor should be. Cursor should look like this. And then once you create a cursor, you need to create a table. Okay. Create a table. Okay. So for that, I have already created one table. I'm gonna use that. Okay. So this is the table I'm using. The table name users, and ID is the integer primary key, name text not null, A is integer. A simple user table. Okay. Once you create a table, you need to insert some records into the table for testing. Okay. I do have some records. I'm using that. Okay. So I executed this query 4 times. We can do multiple ways. You can insert more records. Insert into users. So you can mention all the users over here also. Kind of insert many. Okay. Once you inserted, and then you have to display the records, because we need to test these all are inserted into DB or not. For that, we have a query. So cursor.execute shall start from users, print cursor.fetch. Okay. So it's going to execute the query in DB and it retrieve the data. It's going to show it here. Once you do this, all the things, you need to close the connection. For that, connection.close. Before close, you need to do connection dot commit. Okay. Once you do this, you need to save it and you need to run the SQL file only. For that, python dot SQL dot py. Once you do this, you'll be able to see all the records which are inserted. Okay. Once you do this thing, you need to create a Streamlit application. Okay. Uh, for that, you need to go to app.py. For the Streamlit application, you need to have all the packages need to be imported over here. Load.env is for using all the properties in env, and OS is using system properties. Streamlit is for UI application. Escalate 3 for DB operations. Google.generative AI is for uh, generating SQL query. So now, once you imported all these packages, you need to configure uh, Gemini Pro. For that, genai.configure, here API key equal to os.getEnv Google API key. This Google API key you need to get by entering a makershoot.com. So then you enter there, you'll be able to see get API key. You can generate one or you can use existing one. Okay. Once you configured it, you need to create a function for get Gemini response. Here you need to send prompt and question. Okay. Uh, so model equals Gen AI, generative AI model, it's Gemini Pro, whatever the model which we are using. Response equal model dot generate content, prompt and question. The prompt, whatever the prompt we are going to give, based on that, the model is going to work. The question, whatever question we get from user. Okay. Once you define this function, you need to define another function is read SQL query. Once the query is generated by Gemini Pro, we need to execute the query and get the results from DB. Okay. For that, this function need to be created. Once you done this, you need to create Streamlit app. SQL query generator, header is SQL query generator. The question, whatever input we get from user, and submit. We're going to create one button called submit. Once you click on ask the question submit button, okay, this is going to be executed. Here we created a prompt. Okay, here we mentioned everything, whatever the table name, right now whatever the table name we have, whatever the DB schema should look like, and we have few shots, it should be like this, it should be like this, you need to create like this. It's a prompt. Whatever the prompt we are going to give, based on that only the model is going to work. Okay, once you do that, okay, so we're going to call the get Gemini response. There we are sending question and prompt. Okay, once we send these things to the function is going to generate SQL query. Once the SQL query is generated, we're going to print here. Once we print that, we're going to uh, send the query to the read SQL query function. Okay, there it's going to be uh, execute the query whatever we get from Gemini Pro model, and then we'll print all the rows over here. Okay, so to complete this, you need to run Streamlit app.py. Sorry, it should be run actually. Okay, it's going to be open the application in browser. So whatever the question you want, you can ask. Show all the users older than 30 and click on ask the question, and then it's going to be uh, generate SQL query. Once the query is generated, it's going to be send the results. So this is the results you have. The answer is looks like this, right? Yeah. So I'm going to provide all the information in the description. Uh, Thanks for watching.